So I am obsessed with Uncommon James, and if you're not familiar with Uncommon James, it's actually Kristen Cavallari's jewelry line. She also has skincare and all sorts of things. It's incredible. And lucky for you, I have a discount code where you can get 10% off your entire order. And that is code Veronica at checkout. That's code VERONICA, Veronica at checkout. I'll put an affiliate link in the show notes. So all you have to do is click on the link and the discount code will be automatically applied. Happy shopping. Hello, and welcome back to Martinis and Bikinis. I am your hostess, Veronica Droulia. And today we have a very adult yet fun conversation. One of my goals for 2024 was to get a grip on my finances. I really love to treat myself, but lately I have been really loving learning about finances, investing, budgeting, and just making sure that I am ahead of the game so I can enjoy myself and not stress about adulting. That is why I thought it would be perfect to bring on career coach and content creator, Natasha Badger. She definitely knows way more about this stuff than I do. Natasha works in tech by day and creates content by night. She has a passion for helping young women like herself achieve their very best lives by creating lifestyle, advice, and relatable content about working in corporate America, but also being a content creator. Natasha grew an incredible following on TikTok, giving career advice to people, but she also loves to explore New York City and create content about her day-to-day. Natasha also recently underwent a challenge of going completely dairy-free, gluten-free, alcohol-free, and refined sugar-free. And you guys know I just had to ask her about all of that because I'm such a nut about all of this amazing health and wealth knowledge. This episode is great for those that are in their 20s and looking for some practical, tangible, and user-friendly advice on how to invest, budget, and set yourself up for financial success early on. Natasha and I both discussed after the episode that sometimes it's important to spend money to get to where you need to be in life. I wholeheartedly agree. And how living in New York City definitely plays a huge role in both of our lives financially, but how it's absolutely helped our careers in the long run. So don't feel like after this episode, you have to completely restructure your finances. But this conversation definitely helps me learn to be a little bit more mindful of my choices and open my eyes to a lot. So buckle up and please, without further ado, welcome Natasha Badger to Martinis and Bikinis. Hello, and welcome to Martinis and Bikinis, the podcast for everything under the sun. I am your hostess, Veronica Droulia, and I am here to help you navigate your 20s through all things lifestyle, beauty, and fashion. So, if you're ready, let's dive into today's episode. Perfect. Well, let's cheers, because I feel like I always forget to actually do this.
Yes.
And then the episode starts, and it just sits there the whole time. And I feel like it's definitely needed. Cheers. With our green juice.
It's really good.
It's actually really good. So I know you just went home for the holidays, and I know you were living in Chicago for a while. You're from the West Coast originally. Now you're in New York. First of all, how was it? And second of all, I want to know about your transition from being in all these different places and now being in New York. And you just seem to be living your best life.
Oh, well, thank you. I think I'm living my best life right now. That's like what your mid-20s are for. But going home was great. I was home for a couple of weeks. So it was nice to just like relax. And I actually took a week off of work. I work at a startup. So like it was much needed. That was the first time that I've taken off and not gone on vacation. Like I feel like when you take time off for vacation, you're still working because you're like traveling and like trying to do things. When I was just home offline, like doing nothing. It was the best. But yes, I'm from the Bay Area originally, so bi-coastal queen is what my friends always say. And then after college, I moved to Chicago. So that was a big transition because I've never lived in a big city before, but I think it prepared me well for moving to New York City last year. I've been here for a year, like officially in like next week, I think.
Oh my gosh. Wait, that is so weird because we just had a guest on this week that celebrated her 1-year anniversary the day we recorded, and now yours is next week. That is so amazing.
Yeah.
That is incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. It's gone by so fast. I was saying 6 months for the longest time, and then I was like, wait a second, my I've been here for a year now. So anyways.
I love that this has became a space for people to celebrate their 1-year anniversaries. I am so excited.
You just turn the podcast into that, like find people.
Only people that have been here for 1 year. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
But for the transitions of moving to the cities, gosh, I feel like I'm just naturally someone who loves living new places and exploring new places. And that's why I've moved around so much. And so like going to Chicago, it was definitely an adjustment. I think the biggest challenge for me at that stage in my life where I was recently out of college and in a new city was trying to find new friends. And so I like poured myself into that. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like when I'm in any stage of my life, I'm always trying to like focus on one, like what's my one priority of like, is it like my relationship? Is it my friendships? Is it my career? Like you can't really have all three like perfectly equated at once. You sort of have to like choose what you're really going to devote yourself towards, you know? So when I moved to Chicago, I was like, I need to find friends. Like my boyfriend at the time, I didn't want to like fall back on a boyfriend. I wanted to have like a close group of girlfriends. So I made those girlfriends there and they made the transition so easy, just like having people that you're so close to that you can just do anything with. And I'm still super close with them to this day and like go back and visit them now. And then moving to New York City, I'm really thankful that I also had a roommate that I had known like growing up and like we went to college together as well. So like we moved here together and that was really, really nice to have like a built-in support system. I honestly don't know if I could have moved here like just completely alone and not having someone to like fall back on and sort of like have a rock that you can keeps you grounded, you know?
Absolutely. I love how you said that when you're in these different places, you prioritize one thing and you kind of go full force into that. Because I remember in college, somebody told me you have to choose 2 out of these 3 things.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to have a job in college, or if you want to have a social life, or if you want to really focus on your education, you're not going to be able to do all 3. So you have to pick what's more important to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was like really interesting. So it kind of reminds me of that in a way. But
yeah,
I think that's
feel like
really
there was
fantastic.
There was that like triangle that was viral. I feel like when,
oh yeah,
in like high school or middle, like like a while back, and it was like pick one of these 3, like having a social life, having like good grades, and having I don't know what the last one was, but whatever. Anyways,
right.
It reminds me of that, but it's like not the doomsday approach. It's like no, you can have them all, but like you can't. You sort of just have to balance like 1 week focus on one and the next week focus on another.
Absolutely. I think it's good to kind of batch things sometimes. And even for my New Year's resolutions, I decided to do like a resolution every month instead of just like all of these random resolutions that I probably would just like never accomplish if I just set myself out to do them at the beginning of the year and then forgot about them. So I love that. And I kind of just reminded myself of this because of the word batch. And it reminds me so much of content creation, which is what you do. And I usually like to start these episodes off with the roots, which I feel like we kind of did. But if you want to like just tell the audience a little bit more about you, we already said you're from the West Coast, but maybe more specifically where you're from and just anything that people may not know about you. I think that would be super cool.
Yes, my little elevator pitch.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, you're right. I do content creation. That is my like side hustle, my content creation sort of creative outlet. In my 9 to 5, my full time, I'm in marketing at a tech startup called Accio. So I'm in like the very techie space there. And then when I do my content creation, I focus on like taking, I guess, my learnings and insights that I've had in my career so far, and also just like what it's like in your 20s living in a city and balancing all those things like we were just talking about, and sort of bringing that and my insights that I've learned from there to my platforms on TikTok and Instagram. And then in terms of like going back a little bit more, I am from the Bay Area, California, near Palo Alto. So that's definitely why I'm in tech now to this day. Like grew up in the heart of Silicon Valley and I could not I joke about it. Like you can't escape it as much as I wanted to for a long, long time. I just came back. So I went to school in Colorado, moved to Chicago, now in New York City. So I like to say that I've lived like a bunch of different places. My family's also like my mom is from Denmark and my dad's from the US. So I have I have dual citizenship and like it's just fun to have like a different like background and speaking multiple languages and just having family that's in a completely different country. So I also grew up with that like different side of me that I don't share as much on my platforms, but it's like my fun fact.
That is a very cool fun fact. And I feel like that just like gives you so much emotional intelligence from an early age, just having more experience with different cultures. And I think that's super cool. So do you travel there a lot?
Yeah, I go back like my whole life. We've gone back, and I'm really grateful that like my mom enforced that, I guess, was like going back to her home. But we go back once a year just to see family. So yes, I do travel out there a lot, which I'm grateful for.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I would love to go there. I've heard that isn't it like the happiest place in the world?
Yeah.
They have like the Happy Institute there.
Yes,
They
the
like-
happiest country in the world is Denmark. And then also at one point, Boulder, Colorado was like the happiest
Really?
city, I think, in the world. Or maybe it was just Colorado was like the happiest state in whatever. So I was like, oh, I have both.
Yeah, it's just like so much joy. So much joy. I actually read this book. It was called The Book of Huga. And
Yes. Yeah.
it's like weird because I think at first I thought it was Hygge because it's like Hygge.
Yeah.
And then somebody told me that it was Huga, and I read the book and they like pronunciated it that way.
Yeah. Hugo.
But it was so cool to learn about all the different Danish traditions that they think make people happier.
Mhm.
So I think it's super cool.
Yeah. It's very instilled in the culture, and like everything that you do is about being hyggelig, like cozy and warm and close with others and friends.
Yeah. Like they talked about having the specific spot on the couch that people have. And they make these like warm soups in the winter and like snuggle up on the couch and read their books. And it just sounds really lovely, honestly.
Yeah, especially during the winter. I think that's how they make it through the really short days, especially being that far north.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm excited to have you on because I feel like I said this earlier, but you just seem like you have it all together when it comes to career, finances, and just navigating your 20s in like a fun way too. And we actually met, it was, I want to say a month ago now, maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah, like just early December.
Early December. And there was this pop-up of Washington, D.C. They had their Visit D.C. holiday market come to New York. And I met you through Deepa, who was she's a content creator in New York, but she was a content creator in DC like I was. And we ended up going to dinner together. And I feel like I just got to know you, and it was just everything aligned. So I'm excited to have you on and talk more about finances. However, in career, I am not the biggest finance girl. So I have my laptop here with some questions.
Okay.
that I want to ask you.
Let's dig in. I'm so happy to be here.
Okay. Number one.
I'm being quizzed. Okay.
How do you think young adults in their 20s should go about setting realistic financial goals for themselves? Because I feel like sometimes people will set these very unattainable, lofty goals for themselves and then get really disappointed whenever they're not able to achieve that. So do you have any like good solutions for people to set these realistic expectations for themselves when it comes to finances?
Yeah, that is a great question. And like, I'm not like the financial expert. So
Which I
will
love.
like preface with that. I feel like I take like a realistic approach, but I do feel like I have my finances and my budgets and everything in check. And I like am comfortable with the process that I have in place for myself. But in terms of like putting together financial goals, I think it's like starting small and like starting with something that's very realistic. Like when I was out of college, and I use like budgeting apps, like I really like to use Mint because I just trust the platform and like they make it easy. So, and they have like built-in like goal setting stuff for you, which is why I'm bringing it up. But starting super small, like I wanted to have like my first goal was like having a just rainy day like security fund, which is supposed to be like 3 months of your living expenses, which I feel like is like around 10K is where I feel safe with that. So first was just like getting to that point, and that was like my first goal. And then sometimes it's like, oh, if I'm saving for like a vacation or something like that, but like it doesn't have to be like these huge financial goals. Like, I mean, if you want to buy, like, I feel like it's those small things that then start stacking up. So like you start with the smaller ones and then you get used to like knowing how to budget your finances the right way or like achieve those goals. And it also gives you the satisfaction and like the positive reinforcement of like, okay, like I can do this. And then you can like work towards bigger ones. Like I haven't thought about like buying property yet, even though I want to do that at some point in my future. I'm like, that's not like realistically for me right now, like in my like horizon of where I can start goal setting. But I'm sure that everything I'm doing right now is like setting me up for success to do that in the future. And then also with like invest it like separate from like saving, but like investment, like I wanted to get into investing in like stock portfolios and stuff, which is super intimidating, especially as a woman. And so like getting into the research and like how to do that, which I'm also don't feel like I'm an expert in either, but I know how to navigate it, is like starting small with like an easy app like Robinhood or something like that, and then just investing like a small amount and sort of just getting a feel for it with the amount that you're comfortable with, and then you can start like exploring more. So I think like it's like a huge explanation, but starting small with realistic things and then growing from there.
Absolutely. I love that. And I love the rainy day fund because that's something that I was told, I want to say right when I graduated college. And I feel like for the longest time, my mindset was like, okay, like if I have that set away, like I'm good to go.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes that can be really bad for me because I'm like, okay, like I'll be fine as long as I have that rainy day fund.
No, I have the same mindset, but yeah, like when I was in between my last jobs, I actually like literally needed it. And I was so proud to be able to support myself without having to like ask my parents or like someone else to help support me because I had like money saved for that exact reason. And it was a pretty like liberating feeling to like support yourself on the savings that you had, like the cushion that you made for yourself.
Yeah, I love that. It's super empowering. Okay. So what advice do you have for creating an effective budget that aligns with a 20-something's lifestyle? Because I feel like in your 20s, there's a lot of miscellaneous expenses, whether that's going out with your friends or maybe you're super into going to workout classes or, you know, just whatever you're interested in. And I think this is a time where people are trying to figure out what they're interested in, their hobbies, who they are. So what is your expert opinion on budgeting and how somebody should go about that in their 20s?
Yeah, my like biggest piece of advice is this system, and this is like what I use myself. So it's like 50, 30, 20, and this is like all over the internet. I feel like this is a very common way to budget your money, but a lot of my friends don't do it. So I don't think like a lot of us in our 20s are doing it. Basically, it's putting like 50%, and this is like on average, you can sort of like move it around a bit depending on what you like are comfortable with, but 50% of your paycheck should be going towards necessities. 30% should be going towards like entertainment or just like wants versus needs. And then the last 20% you put towards savings. And on top of that, like a layer down is like you have an actual checking or savings account for each of those. So like what I do, and I think like everyone should do this, is like in my paycheck, and I think every like employer's paycheck app, whatever they use to send paychecks, but you can like automatically split up your paycheck between your three different accounts. So like your savings account, which should be a high yield savings account so that you're getting like money from the bank on it. 20% should be going to your savings. I think I do like 17% in my savings. I checked before this episode so I could like say it the right way. In your savings, around 20%. And then about 30% goes into your like fun checkings account. And then the last 50% goes towards your like necessities account. And for me, like necessities are like rent, utilities, bills, things like that. And then groceries, like I need that to survive. And then the 30% is like what you said, like for me, it's like, yes, my ClassPass subscription is on there. I give myself like $100 to spend on like clothing every month, things like that. And so I think like setting it up and having that automated process already in place sets me up for success because there's no like blurring the lines. It's not all going into one account. And then I'm like, oh, I overspent on like going shopping, which means I can't spend as much on groceries this month. Like, no, I have a very specific account that's like, okay, no more eating out this month or this week because like I spent, like I'm pretty low in this one checkings account, for example. And then on top of that, I have just like a general Excel spreadsheet where I have my budget laid out that I don't really touch. I just sort of set it up before, like every quarter I sort of refer back to it and I have it bucketed with like, okay, this is how much I get in my paycheck every 2 weeks. And then from there, I like backtrack like, okay, this is how much I save. And then like, if I want 30% of it going to like my fun stuff, for me, my fun stuff is like ClassPass, like I said, going shopping, going out for dinner. So then I can split up like, okay, like now I know I can only spend like, I think it's like $300 a month on going out to dinner, which I'm comfortable with. And like, I have this like general idea in my mind of what I should be spending. So that's like my like my general just like budget that I don't touch every day. But then I have the automation in process as well. So I feel like that's the two approaches that I take that I think everyone should take. So they have a general idea of the like operations that go on behind their money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like it's cool that you do it quarterly and kind of refresh it because based on what's going on in your life, whether you're traveling or you have a big event coming up, you can kind of just look back at it and maybe just switch some things around or like figure out like what is actively going on in your life so that you can make adjustments. But
yeah,
I also love that you said that you have certain limits for each category. So I think there's so many great companies out there now that are helping people budget more friendly because for instance, I started doing Newly a few months ago and it's $99 a month and you get like 6 items that you can rent and then you send it back and then the next month you get 6 new items and it's owned by Anthropologie. So it's like really cute, trendy things. So I think it's like really sustainable, but also I'm not overspending whenever it comes to shopping anymore. I feel like for so long I was like online shopping like crazy and always just having to get like all these new trendy pieces. And I feel like it's cool that there's companies that are now established that are helping people budget a little bit more.
Yeah, that's so nice. I always see people with the Newly bags like going to the UPS store to like return them, and I haven't tried it out yet. I've been wanting to. I just like it's like taken over the city. I feel like I see everyone always has one.
Every time I go to UPS, there's just stacks and stacks and stacks of those little bags, and it's so funny. But yeah, I feel like everybody's on the Newly train. But now I've started to see people wearing the same things as me, which is fine. I can see a Newly girl from a mile away whenever that happens, but I love it. It's great. I can just like always refresh my closet, which I love.
Oh, that's actually really nice. I should try them out.
Yeah, absolutely. So how can young professionals balance the desire for experiences and saving money for the future? I feel like that's a hard one.
This is like the question.
I know. I feel like everybody's struggling with this.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like everyone's talking about it too. Like this is such a huge topic for TikToks that I see a lot. Gosh, and I feel like my opinion of this sort of changes over time. Like I've like gone back and forth. I think my general approach is like I feel like I'm like in the middle of the two, honestly, which it's hard to say. And it's like whatever, the answer is always going to be like, it depends. It depends on you and it depends on what you're comfortable with. Like if you're comfortable with spending like $99 a month on Newly versus saving that and putting it in an investment fund or whatever that could set you up for success in the future. I mean, probably everyone that lives in New York City is more on the like experience side versus the saving side, right? Because we're definitely overpaying to live here, but it's because we love it and the experiences that we get here. So I guess that sort of just like proves my point that like for me, experience and living in New York is like more important to me than saving that money that I could be saving living somewhere cheaper, for example.
It would be so sad to not experience New York if you were living here because most of the places are pretty small and you just be cooped up all day and you wouldn't be able to like go out and enjoy your life. But I agree. I think there's sometimes where I'll stay back and just chill if I just like don't feel like going out and spending money or whatever. And I think sometimes I will have like a YOLO moment where I'm just like, you know what, why not?
Yeah.
And those are usually like the best times that I have. But I also think it's important to obviously invest in your future, save, do all that. And I think, it definitely depends on the person and what their priorities are.
Yeah, I also think like as long as you're keeping a general budget and you're not just like wasting all your money away and you're not going into credit card debt for these experiences that you're trying to have, like as long as you're generally feeling comfortable with the way your finances are, for me, like the big experiences that'll be like, okay, like F it, like let's just go do it, is like a big trip. Like I'm going on a trip in a few weeks and it's like, okay, like whatever, like I'll spend the $1,000 for like the plane ticket, like let's just go, like it's gonna be so fun. Like I'd rather have that experience than save the $1,000, honestly, or whatever, however much it's gonna cost to go on that trip. But like I've been setting myself up for success and like have the ability to do that because I have like a budget in place. So I think it's like a balance of the two, of like not every single day like like let's go like buy this huge thing because you don't want to get into debt or like have a bad financial situation, but it's like keeping yourself in check and like good enough so that you can then have the opportunity to make the decision to have those experiences sometimes when you want them.
Yeah, I need to learn from that. I retract what I said because I have a huge spending problem, like massive spending problem. So I'm learning today. But I have a random question. So what is your opinion on like getting a higher tier credit card? So I know that there's so many people that will just, use a lot of or spend a lot of money on travel and eating, and basically they could be acquiring all these points if they had a different credit card. So I know you have to pay like an annual fee for a lot of credit cards, and I would love to hear like your whole perspective on that scene, because it's kind of intimidating. It's like, which one do I choose, or which one is going to benefit me more? Because I feel like there's just so many options.
No, that's so true. There's definitely like choice paralysis. I have it still. Like I'll like backtrack in a second, but like I definitely experienced that, and I'm trying to find the next credit card that I want that's going to give me that like the optimal like benefit for what I'm paying for and what I'm spending my money on, but like it's hard to choose the right one. But backtracking is like, I mean, yes, people should definitely get one. I think it's easy, like maybe if you don't know where to start, is to start with like an easy one. Or if anyone, like if your listeners are students, they should definitely start with the Discover student credit card, because that's what I started with. I feel like that's like the gateway to all credit cards. And you just like, it's $0 fee. It's pretty easy to get approved. Like they have cash back with it. Like it's just like a very like low level, like basic, easy credit card, but you can start getting the feel of like how to manage one. I feel like for anyone that's like really, really starting out. But for people that are like already have credit cards and trying to find the next one, I think it's like deep diving into TikTok. And like that's what I do at least. I also have a friend, like I have friends that are really into credit cards. Like I'll just ask them, but it's just like going to resources that have them, and there's like the credit card or the points guy or whatever. I don't know. There's Nerd Wallet, like those sites that like compare all the different ones. But I think when I think through like what credit card I want to get, and the one that I have like the one that I have now is like the United credit card, because I'm a United Mileage Plus member, and like I like to travel, like I said, and for me that's like super high priority. Like if I'm spending my money, I want it to go towards getting free vacations so that I don't have to spend money on traveling. And so those are the benefits that I want. But I'm thinking of like what else could I do? Like Amex would be great, but it's like if I want to spend, do I want to spend the $500 or whatever, some of them are like $900 like yearly fee on those things? It has to definitely make sense of like, am I using all the benefits, like going to the lounges or like getting the free like Uber Eats credits or whatever they offer on the different types of credit cards. Just doing like a cost benefit analysis of the two and comparing if it's worth what you're going to be spending. But if you're not going to be using those benefits, then obviously it doesn't make any sense to just have the credit card. I
know a lot of credit card companies will offer a streaming service bundle too, which is super cool. And honestly, that racks up over a year if you have like 3 different streaming services, because they're now putting certain shows and movies on particular platforms and taking it off of Netflix, which is so annoying.
Yes.
And yeah, I think there's like so many fun little perks that people don't even take advantage of.
Yeah. I think people should be using credit cards as long as they use them responsibly and they have the right one that like works with their lifestyle. Like if you get gas all the time, get one that gives you the most cash back at gas stations or like groceries or whatever it is. Like there's different ones that give you more or less cash back for certain categories of spending. So like you can choose and take your pick.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this is an actually really interesting question because it's based on what you do. So how can having a side hustle or an additional income stream, like being a content creator, contribute to financial stability in your 20s? And also, how do you go about budgeting with that extra stream of income? Like, how does that kind of all work in, that same system?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think everyone in there, I think like all like women should be having side hustles. I like made a TikTok about this recently, actually, the fact that all women, and this is from a book that I'm like completely blanking on the name of, but you should have like your side boat just in case, like your side hustle, because one day like that could become like your main hustle, or like you could fall, like if you need to move out of your apartment or you break up with your boyfriend or whatever, something happens, like you're fired, whatever it is, you can fall back on that because you have like this separate creative outlet that's not even creative outlet, but just your separate thing that's yours, that's not like you're not an employee of, like it's actually yours. And so yes, I make money from my content creation. I honestly just put it all straight to savings because like then when it comes time to pay taxes on it, because I don't have like all of it is contracted, so I have to go back and pay taxes every year. So I'll just pull from my savings straight from there, and then if I go on vacations and stuff, I'll pull from that fund as well. So like a lot of the times I feel like the content creation is what funds my like big, exciting, like what we were just talking about, those like big...
Yeah, the bougie moments.
Like the content creation is definitely not enough for me to be full-time on, but it gives me like the extra padding where like, yeah, I can go on a vacation and like spend this money or like go out to like the nice dinner, like treat myself every once in a while, using that extra fund. So I think that it helps me feel comfortable in terms of like how much I'm making on top of what I'm making from my 9 to 5.
I love that. I think that's like a really good piece of advice for people that are in the corporate world or have a 9 to 5 and are also doing influencing or content creation on the side, just putting it all in savings and using it for those bougie moments in life.
Yes.
So I know we talked a little bit about investing, and I think it's very intimidating, like you said, but I think in your 20s, it's so important to diversify your portfolio. And I know that's like a broken record. Everybody's like, diversify your portfolio. And I think a lot of people don't really understand what that means. So if there's any way you could just explain to the audience, like how they can diversify their portfolio whenever they're maybe in their early mid-20s and how that's going to benefit them later on in life. Because I think a lot of people wait until a lot later and then they can't reap the benefits from if they were starting earlier.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I guess like if this is just like fun investments and not like your 401k investment, but like your fun thing. Like I said this in the beginning of the episode, but I use Robinhood for my investing because it's just easy to use. And, you know,
I just saw that movie Dumb Money.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
It's about so I didn't just see it. It was a few months ago, but it's about the GameStop stock.
Oh, yes.
And like their involvement in that. And it's so funny. Like it is the funniest movie ever. But every time I hear them now, like I just like, I can't stop thinking about that movie.
Oh my God, I want to see it. It's
really good.
I actually had GameStop stop.
Did you? You were on the train?
During it?
On the Reddit thread?
I was literally like, I had randomly bought GameStop stock a week before it happened.
Really?
I don't know why or what inclined me to like purchase it. I think I saw it was on the rise because they like give you like the trends or whatever. And I was like, oh, like I trust GameStop. Like they're a good brand. Let me just like throw some money at them. And then on the news, like a few days later was the whole thing. And I was like, what the heck? So then I sold it. Like I made a little bit of money from it, but like I sold it before it
crushed
totally
and burned.
Like when, I mean, I could have like gotten a lot more, but I'm a very safe investor. So I was like,
a good thing.
let's take it out right now and sell it. But back to the question, which is like,
sorry, I interrupted. Just feel like I had to share that fun fact.
No, that was yeah, I need to watch that movie. That sounds good.
It's really good.
For just like diversifying your portfolio. I mean, essentially like what it means, if we're gonna like define it, it's like investing in different industries essentially, or like different places. So like a really great way to do that is investing in ETFs, which is basically like a bundle of stocks, or like, I hope I'm explaining this the right way, but like a bundle of stocks from like a bunch of different companies. And it's like an ETF of like all of the, I guess like oil and gas, like it could be like one industry, for example. Another thing though, like, and this is what I invest in, is just like the safest way to do it is like the S&P 500 or any of those where it's basically like the top 500 companies and they just bundle it for you. And like I said, I'm a very safe investor. I'm not like day trading and like going in and seeing like, oh, this like went up, so I'm going to sell right now. Like I just sort of invest like slowly over time. And if you feel comfortable, you can set up like automatic investing in those like S&P 500. I think it's something like, I remember learning this in some like finance class in college. And then this is what I do now, but I'm like completely blanking on the numbers. But it's like investing like $2,000 a year in the S&P 500. If you start now versus like 5 years from now versus 10 years from now doing that, you'll have like thousands and thousands of dollars more by the time you're retiring in like 50 years. So yeah, just doing that, like I play it very safe and do like a little bit of money in the S&P 500 like every month basically.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a great way to like start small and start getting into investing and diversify. And then also on top of that is like whatever you feel comfortable with investing, like it literally be like $10 that you want to like put towards some company that you believe in. Like I've invested once in like Oatly and like Bumble because I was like, oh, I like these brands. And like not all of them end up doing well, but I was comfortable with like taking the loss of $10. So it depends on like your comfort and like risk level when it comes to investing. And then on top of that, like with the diversifying your portfolio, like if I'm investing in one industry, I'm like, okay, like maybe I'll put a little bit in this area just in case like something happens with the economy. You never know. Absolutely. Like with COVID, like all of hotel and like travel industry like totally plummeted, which was great because I bought stock in those places back then, and then now it's back up. But like, yeah, like diversifying means that like when that takes a tumble, all your investments won't like go down the drain because the economy is doing what it's doing.
Absolutely. And there's obviously some risk factor to it, always. But it reminds me of Peloton before COVID, you know. I mean, it was a successful company, but COVID really made it skyrocket. And then now they're kind of plummeting. So it's really interesting to see like how certain trends are reactive with the stock market. And I think that's amazing that you invested in the travel industry during COVID.
Just a little bit. I was just like playing around.
Good for you. Good for you. Okay. So this is kind of random.
Okay.
And it's off of the topic of finances now. Well, not really. It kind of is. So I know you just did 30 days of no alcohol, no gluten.
Yes.
No dairy. And no refined sugar.
And no refined sugar, yes.
So how do you feel like that impacted you as like a young professional, as an entrepreneur? I consider content creators entrepreneurs.
It's making my own.
You have your own brand. And especially living in New York. How did that go?
Yeah. This is a great question. So I'll preface, I'm gluten and dairy free normally. Like I have celiac, so like I've been gluten and dairy free for a while. It started in college, and I will say those food like restrictions that I have, I think make my expenses go up when I have to like go out to dinner or like get groceries. So not that it really impacted me in the last 30 days when I was doing like the cleanse. I was doing like a gut cleanse, and so it cut out inflammatory foods. But yeah, in general, like trying to be like vegan or any of those like types of diets, I feel like expenses go up with groceries because it's just more expensive to get those like.
Absolutely.
Because they're like trendy and healthy or whatever. So they like upcharge.
Especially in New York. Why is the grocery store so expensive?
I know.
Whole Foods is like the cheapest option.
Exactly.
And then Trader Joe's is like a fucking madhouse because they make you get in like a straight line throughout the whole store, and you can't even go back and find your items if you forgot something. Oh, it's so stressful. I can't go in there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, I know. I need to get I almost went to Trader Joe's before I came here because I was like, I need groceries. And I was like, I can't do it today.
I feel like Wednesday night would actually be a good time.
It would. Yeah. Sundays and Mondays are obviously the worst.
Oh my God. I couldn't do it. No.
But yeah, anyways, in general, like any of those types of diets are going to be more expensive, I've found, like in my groceries. But the no alcohol bit in the last 30 days, like I did it in December between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And oh my God, I saved so much money. Like I felt like I've never felt so comfortable with like I feel like I'd been overspending a lot living in New York City, like as people do here for sure, just because I would be going out every single weekend, like probably twice a weekend, and then wasn't realizing that I was spending like so much on drinks every time I went out or dinner or whatever it was.
Right.
Or like Ubers even. And then I also just felt better like mentally too. But yeah, I'm honestly still not drinking. I just kept going. It's been like 2 months now.
Oh my gosh, good for you.
Yeah. I mean, I had like a glass of champagne on New Year's, and like I'm not gonna like quit completely, but like I think having that reset made me feel a lot better. And then also, like I said, like saved a lot of money. So anyways, to answer your question of like the cleanse impacting me, I think it helped me save money. But I think if someone were to just like suddenly do it, it would probably like balance out in terms of like saving money on buying drinks. I guess it depends on how often people go out versus like spending more on having to get like the nicer groceries.
Did you find your energy levels to be higher?
Yes.
Yeah, you probably were a little bit more productive. Whenever I drink, I wake up the next morning, I can't get shit done.
Yeah.
It's a mess. So.
Oh my God, I felt so much more productive. I felt like my life just felt like put together all of a sudden, to be honest. Like my skin cleared up, and then like, yeah, I wouldn't be going out. So I'd wake up. Oh, thank you. I'd wake up on Saturday and like go to work out. And then I had like a whole 2 days to myself, like not one of them rotting in bed. Like I actually had a full 2 days to like go like on a walk in Central Park or like do whatever it was that I wanted to do. And it just felt so good and refreshing to like honestly feel like I had more control of my life. And I was like doing my own thing and not relying on like going out and like having to meet up with friends. It's like, oh, I have to go out because like we're in New York and we're young and like want to go drink, and it just feels so much better not doing that, to be honest. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you find with celiac that you prefer cooking at home rather than going out, or are restaurants here like pretty good about having gluten-free items. I feel like I've seen a lot of it, but I'm sure you probably run into like some instances where you kind of have to like make certain, like, I don't know, you have to switch things out. Or
Yeah, sometimes it's pretty good. Like in any major city, it's going to be easy to find somewhere to eat. Sometimes it's just like, oh, like, do I eat here versus there? Like, are they accommodating to people with like gluten allergies? For the most part, it's not an issue. That's good. Definitely cook more than I eat out because I just like to cook and save money on eating out. But it's never been like an issue for me. Like, oh, like I can't eat out because like I'm celiac.
I think I'm telling you that because I remember whenever we got dinner, I was telling you about this girl that I studied abroad with, and we were in Germany, which is like the worst place for somebody who is gluten-free.
Oh my God, we had this conversation. I was like, Germany and France, like, stay away. Like, they don't accommodate.
We would go everywhere. We're like, gluten-free. And there was honestly some people that did, but I felt so terrible for her. It was really, really rough. But yeah, I think even in Louisiana, where I'm from, there's really such a lack of like gluten-free options. And it's sad because I feel like that is kind of like the new norm. So I don't understand why people aren't adhering to that. But anyway.
No, I feel like when you're outside of like the major city and you just get at like the farther away you get, the less options there are. I've definitely found that everywhere. But for anyone that's traveling internationally, Italy is very accommodating for gluten-free places in my experience. So
I've been told that if you go to Italy and you eat like the pasta and the pizza, people that have gluten sensitivities can eat it. I don't know if that's the same with...
It's because of the way that the flour is processed. It's not the same for celiac because like it's not just like a sensitivity, but it's because of the way that flour is processed in Europe. Like there's a certain chemical that the US is not banned. So like we use a certain chemical to treat our flour, and then people with gluten sensitivity actually are like sensitive to the chemical that we use here. So then they can eat bread and stuff in Europe because they don't have the chemical.
Of course, America.
Yes. Fun fact.
So I'd love to do a little rapid fire with you.
Okay.
If that's okay with you.
Yes.
So, number 1, best career advice in 3 words.
Oh my God, 3 words. Is this 4 words? You can do it.
It's okay. I'll add an extra. A little bonus word. I love that. You can do it. Okay, most challenging aspect of being a content creator.
Being present all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you can always, I don't think it's like feasible to actually always be present as a content creator because you're always sort of thinking like, could I be recording this? Or like, how is this gonna, like, you sort of always have to be thinking. But yeah, any creator of anything or even like someone who's I don't know, any creator I feel like is always going to be thinking that.
Do you ever have experiences, this is a random side note, where it was so fun and amazing and you had like this just incredible experience and you think back and you had so much fun, but you think to yourself, oh my gosh, I should have been recording that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And it makes me sad because I honestly should just appreciate the situation for what it was, but it's just like a part of the gig, I guess.
I know, it's part of it. I try to find ways to not let that happen, but yeah, I think it's probably the hardest part.
Yeah. Okay. One content creation tip that changed the game.
Ooh, well, let's circle it back to what you said in the beginning, batch creating content.
Yeah, we hooked that in there somehow.
Yes,
I love that.
We looped it in, foreshadow.
Okay. So I guess you can't have pizza, but there's probably gluten-free pizza here. In-N-Out or New York pizza?
In-N-Out. And I'm going to get hate for that.
No,
but
I love In-N-Out.
In-N-Out is also very accommodating to gluten-free.
I know.
They have like separate fryer and everything. It's very nice.
Yeah, they're the best. I love In-N-Out. Wish we had one here.
I know.
Go-to snacks or meals that became your favorites during the challenge?
Oh, this is super easy. I actually started using Thistle, the meal service. It's basically like, you probably heard of Sakara because they advertise everywhere. I can't afford Sakara.
It's so expensive.
Like I actually can't. So I wanted it though, but I found Thistle and it's like a actual like normal budget version of Sakara. And it's all like gluten dairy free. I literally, like I had it for dinner before I came here. It makes it so easy. This is like not an ad. I like tag them in my stuff and they barely even talk to me, but I just love their product. It makes balancing life, like to bring it into the bigger picture, balancing life in your 20s so much easier. Like,
I bet.
you don't have to think about my meals or lunchtime or anything. It's really nice. So
I need to try that. I definitely need to try that. I've heard good things.
mm-hmm.
How did you handle social situations without alcohol, gluten, or sugar? And do you have any tips for others in similar situations?
Yeah. So with gluten and dairy, I've been, like I said, dealing with that for a while. I just explain. I feel like people are always really accommodating when I tell them that. I'm like, no, like I'm allergic, so like can't eat that. But I hate seeming like I
have a lot of allergies too. So
what are your allergies?
I'm allergic to peanuts, cashews, pistachios, and all bony fish. So
oh my God, that's what my roommate's allergic to.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I need to meet her.
That's crazy.
Are we separated at birth?
When we go out to dinner together, the waiters hate us.
Oh no, the waiters hate me. I actually don't tell them most of the time, which I know is like so messed up.
No, sometimes I don't want to say it because I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that person that's like making things change, but I'm like also like I have an allergy, so
no, like that is something that people without allergies will never understand.
Yeah.
There is just some emotional trauma.
No, there is
a bad waiter that you had one time that gave you the hardest time about your allergies. And it's just terrible. It's terrible. It makes me not want to tell them.
No, exactly. So
but all my friends are like, why aren't you telling them?
I know.
They get mad at me.
So I feel like in social situations, like the people are always supportive. It's the waiters that you have to watch out for like the food things. But I feel like the biggest question, and like I actually just made a video about this. I haven't posted it yet, but someone asked me this, like, how do you drink or like not drink in social situations? The biggest thing is literally just like having a drink. Like we have our green juice here.
Exactly.
Just having a non-alcoholic drink in my hand was like the thing that I thought it would be really, really hard to not drink in social situations because I was going out so often. It was actually really, really easy. I just would bring, like if I went to someone's place, I would just bring my own like non-alcoholic beverage with me and no one would notice. And when I was home for the holidays, like I was DD with my friends and we went out to the bars, like hometown bars or whatever. No one was like looking at you being like, oh, you seem sober. Or like
right.
You feel like you're going to feel stuck out or like you stick out, but you don't. Like you just, no one really notices. Yeah. Everyone's just drinking and so they're drunk and having a good time and they don't notice that you're like outside of that and not drinking. So as long as you have something in hand or whatever it is that makes you feel like comfortable and connected to everyone, then I feel like that's all you need.
I love that. I actually had one of my friends, her name is Michelle, on the podcast months and months ago, but she's been sober her whole life because she's allergic to alcohol. She had like one drink whenever she was not really young, but in high school or college and passed out and had to go to the hospital. So she has like a really similar perspective. She just has club soda or water and nobody ever asks her any questions.
Yeah. So. I know. I feel like you'd be surprised with like the amount of non-questions that you get.
I think it's all about just the concept of having a drink in your hand and it makes you feel like you're being a part of the situation.
Yes, exactly.
Because you are.
Yeah.
Just in a different way.
Yeah.
Okay. Sunrise hikes or city nightlife?
Oh, this is so hard. This is like city versus nature, and I love both. I'm going to go with sunrise hikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds nice. Mm-hmm. Especially right now, if it's like a warm environment.
Yeah.
Weirdest job you've ever had? If you've had one. Like a weird job. You've obviously had a job.
My first job ever was like when I was in like middle school. I was the local cat sitter for my like neighborhood, and so I would take care of there were a lot of like elderly people in my neighborhood. I would just take care of their cats when they were out of town. That was like my first job, and they'd pay me like $20 for a week of like going to check in and like feed their cats every day.
That sounds incredible.
It was great.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. One thing about New York life that has surprised you the most?
Ooh. Wow, I'm actually having to think about this one.
In honor of your 1 year.
In honor of my 1 year. I don't know if it was surprising. I definitely expected this to happen, but it was still just something to get through, was just how easy it can be to feel lonely here. Mm-hmm. And if you're not continuously like trying to be part of like the community in New York or trying to do things that you love. And I feel like once I started plugging into the community, like being friends with my local, like I get my packages delivered to my UPS store. Like I'm friends with them and like the local bodega. And like I started going to dance classes because I'm a dancer and like making friends with the instructor there and going to things that were like a routine and like plugging into a community. I didn't realize how hard that would be because it wasn't as hard in the last 2 places that I've lived. And so overcoming that though made it like so much better to live here.
It kind of reminds me of dating.
Mm-hmm.
Like the stork isn't just gonna like drop off a boy for you or
Yes.
a girl or whoever.
Oh, and the dating was also really hard here too. So
yeah. So like you kind of have to like get out there and like go do your own thing.
Yeah.
And I think people, they just need to put themselves out there a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that. That's a great piece of advice. Must have productivity tool.
I am more of a paper and pen person versus like electronic. I always took my notes with in my little like binder. But I think the thing that keeps me like the most on track is my little like handheld planner. I use the one from Inside Then Out. They sent me like a daily planner and I actually love it. But any type of like planner where I can just organize like my day to day of what I need. It's like one of those like desktop planner things. And I just like write down throughout the day, like I need to do these things today and like these things on Friday, like whatever it is. That keeps me so productive because I love checking things off of a list and just like planning out my day. That probably is what keeps me the most productive, even though it's not like a tool. It's literally just like a calendar.
I love a to-do list. I get that from my mom. She's the best. She's a little cray-cray, but she has sticky notes that she will put everywhere, all over the house. Different to-do lists for me, for my stepdad.
Oh my gosh.
And while I was home for the holidays, I just forgot how chaotic it is. But yeah, no, I love a to-do list. So anyway, last question. If you were to drink a martini in a bikini, where would you be? And what would you be drinking?
Oh, okay. I would be in Italy. Mm-hmm. On the, what's the coast?
Amalfi Coast.
Amalfi Coast, thank you. I don't know why that just like escaped my memory. On the Amalfi Coast. And then like what type of martini? Yeah,
or like a green juice or like a really nice water infused with watermelon.
No, I would be drinking. If I'm on vacation, I'm going to drink. I feel like just a vodka martini dirty for sure. Like very extra dirty. Yes.
Speaking my language. I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, actually, I would love if you could share how people can be friends with you, how they can connect, how they can follow you, and anything new, exciting that you have coming up in the near future. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on also. This was so fun.
Thank you.
I had so much fun chit-chatting about all these adult things, but also like all the like health, wellness, no alcohol, food allergies.
Yeah, all of the things.
All the things.
That make us human. Yeah. Well, you can find me at Natasha Badger, Natasha Badger, like the animal, on Instagram, natasha.badger, on TikTok. Those are my 2 main platforms. Like we said, I post all things like career, balancing life in your 20s. I have some exciting news that I'm about to be sharing. I haven't shared it yet publicly, but yeah, so you can stay tuned for that.
Gosh. Okay, yeah. We definitely need to follow along and see what's coming up because now I'm curious. Okay. I get the sneak peek. I'm so excited. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Natasha. It was such a pleasure and such an honor to have you on. And yeah, if you guys want to like, rate, and subscribe to this podcast, it is deeply appreciated if you liked this episode. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.
Thank you.
Think of what you can do to just slow down your heart rate, make yourself feel a little better, going on a walk, meditating, Pilates class.
You're manifesting, you're setting yourself up to start that journey of whatever you're manifesting.